Brad Johnson here from johnson.audio, and today I'm going to show you how to tune vocals in Melodyne in a transparent and organic way. So I used to work for a well-known producer, and I used to edit vocals, and so this is exactly how I was taught to do it. It can seem a little bit like voodoo and witchcraft, especially when you're first starting out with it. Melodyne in itself is pretty much like a standalone DAW now. You can do recording in it, and you can do a lot of different kinds of editing. It can be really intimidating when you first get into it, and also really hard to really know how to properly tune. You hear all the time that it's one of the best tuning programs out there, especially if you want to do tuning in a transparent way, but I find it to not be the most intuitive program out there. So it wasn't until somebody sat down and showed me how to use it properly did I really understand it. So I'm really hoping that this tutorial will speed up the process of learning for you and get you going to tuning vocals in a really great way. If you're an engineer, this should be really exciting for you because you're going to be able to take your productions to the next level. If you're working with singers and especially songwriters, they're going to be really happy to hear back the way they sound through the speakers because they're going to be sounding in tune and done in a way where they're not going to think that they got tuned. It's definitely got a lot of stigma around it with the T-Pain auto-tune thing going with the whole synthesized vocal, and this is not what we're trying to accomplish here. So if that's what you're looking to do, then look elsewhere. If you're looking to enhance your recordings and productions, especially if you're working with more organic, roots type based artists, then you are in the right place. If you're a songwriter, you're also in the right place because this is going to help you release more music that you're proud of, that you're not going to be self-conscious with. I, as a songwriter, did not release a lot of music because I was so self-conscious of the way that I sounded in my pitch. I would work so hard on singing on pitch that I would lose all emotion and my performances suffered. And this is why I love Melodyne, because you can focus on getting the artist to perform and give you a good performance. And if there's a few parts in the vocal performance that might be a little off pitch, you can fix that later in a transparent way. And you're just getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a great sounding performance, and it sounds really in key, and it just is rocking. So this is why I love Melodyne. This is what I'm going to show you. So with that being said, let's dive in. Let's take a look at Melodyne Studio. So before we get started in Melodyne Studio, I want to set up a few quick keys, just because the quick keys in Melodyne are going to be the way to just kind of move around quickly. There are some default ones that you don't need to worry about, and then there are some that I want to show you how to set up just to kind of help you through the process of making your edits quickly, because if you don't know it already, when you're tuning an entire record, it becomes very monotonous. It's not the most exciting part of production. It's definitely tedious work, and this is why we have assistants. This is why we get interns, and this is why we want to delegate this kind of work, because it's not the fun stuff that you kind of grow up thinking about being an audio engineer and being in the studio. This is definitely not the thing that you dreamed of. So anything that we can do to cut the process down and make it a little quicker is always a bonus. So I'm going to show you a few quick keys that I would like to set up and just show you. First of all, you're going to be using the function keys to access your toolbox over here. So function 1 is going to be the pointer. Function 2 is going to be your pitch tool. Function 3, form it, and so on. The ones that we're going to be working with the most, and that I work with the most within pitch correction, is going to be the trim tool or note separation tool, the pitch tool, and the main tool. And the main tool mainly for the magnifying glass. So you can see how it just changed. If you have this little drop-down menu on some of them, which changes. It's a variation of the main tool, and if you just hit the function keys a couple times, it will change that for you. So I like having my magnifying tool for zooming. So I will hit that a couple times. Another thing too is I'm using Melodyne Studio here. Don't worry if you're not using Melodyne Studio. This is the full version. If you just have I think it's the Essentials version, or whatever it's called, I think for $100, everything I'm showing you here should work within that. I'm not using any advanced features. We're just focusing on tuning vocals. So if you're using the light version, don't worry. Everything I show you here should apply. So with that, let me show you the quick keys. So the function keys are going to be default. The next thing I want to set up is a untune quick key. So if you go to Melodyne here and go to preferences, we're going to go under the shortcuts. We're going to go to the reset edits, and then reset all pitch changes. I set to U, kind of like undo. This is going to be different than Command Z because I don't want to undo things I've already done. This is when I maybe tune a blob, which you'll see here in a moment, and I cut it, and I want part of the blob to stay tuned, but I don't want another part of the blob to be tuned. So I want to untune it because the whole deal with this is keeping it transparent. So we don't want everything to be tuned. We're only focusing on tuning the note. Everything else around it, we want to keep untuned to keep the natural inflection of the voice and make it sound natural. And you'll understand that as we go on, but just for now, just set your all pitch changes to something I like you just because it's, a kind of undo. The next thing that we're going to go and set up is going to be under edit. There's going to be a correct pitch, and it won't be assigned. I assigned it to Command Shift P, just as a short key. I mean, you could probably do Command P or whatever, but I just did Shift Command P, and that will bring up a window that I'm going to show you here in a second. But those are going to be the two quick keys that I recommend you setting up just so you have it and you can move on fast. So now we're going to move into actual editing. We want to set up our global, this is kind of the global time signature and beats, if that is whatever that's going to be. So let's actually look at what our time signature is for this song I'm going to do. We are doing a song called The Whistling Wind, which is one of my own, and you get to hear how pitchy I really am in real life, and it's embarrassing for me, but it's good for you because now you get to learn from me and my embarrassing moments, and you win. So we're going to go into the editing folder. So I'm going to do a quick tangent off of tuning right here, and I'm going to get into session organization. It's really, really important if you are collaborating with other artists and other producers to be organized in your sessions. The reason why I'm telling you this now, because you're going to kind of go through and you're going to see I have a bunch of folders within folders, and I just want to explain this to you really quick because it's really frustrating when you get a bunch of files from somebody else and they're totally unorganized. All they say is audio 1, audio 2, audio 3, or some kind of like guitar or something, and you just have to sit there and figure out what it is for an hour. It's super frustrating. So I'm going to go into this folder. This would be normally where I would have all my DAW sessions, so either my Pro Tools sessions or Logic sessions with the songs. I would have a separate editing folder. And within an editing folder, I would have tuning. I'd probably have Beat Detective, some kind of like drum editing or any other kind of edits that I'm doing. It would be in its own separate folder because I want to know that I affected certain tracks within the session, and I want those separate. So in the tuning folder, I'm going to have my songs. I have in here a couple songs, and the way that I set it up so I don't have a really long title for my folders, I just do the first letter of of each word in the song title. For this one, we're going to be doing The Whistling Wind, so TWW. And then I put the beats per minute, and then for this it's 3/4, so I actually put that in 3/4. So it's always nice to send out your songs with the beats per minute, and if there's a different time signature than 4/4 to your producer or the person you're working with, just to kind of make it so they don't have to sit there and guess or figure it all out. So it's just organizing, and then in the folder I have my untuned files, and then in this folder right here I would put my Melodyne session, which you'll see me do when I save it, and then I'll have another folder which I'll create right now, which is going to be called Tuned Vocals. And that way we have everything organized and everything, we know what we're looking at, and everything is nice and tidy and easy to decipher. So I digress on that, but I just wanted to give that point out just because it's very important. Especially when you start working with large files and full albums, this session organization goes a long way. People are going to love you for it. The only reason why I'm telling you this is because I was really bad at this. I still do struggle a little bit with it, and I got yelled at. And so I try never to be that person. I do not want to be that person to somebody else that makes them have to take an extra hour away from the things that are important to them because they need to sit there and figure out what the heck they're looking at when it comes to files. So we'll move on from that now. So we're going to go to Untuned. I have right here my lead vocal and I have a guitar part. The reason why I have a guitar part is not because I'm going to show you how to tune guitars, because I want to have some kind of foundation for my vocal when I'm editing it, because I want to make sure that I don't make a mistake. So it's easy to have a good whatever is like the main chordal instrument, in this case the guitar, in the session, so that way I can kind of reference against the guitar to really have, maybe if I make an edit that's not right, it'll be glaring to me because it'll sound off from the guitar. Because as you're going through and you're editing you're editing vocals and you're doing background vocals and then you're doing many songs at once, it's easy to make mistakes, and we want to catch those mistakes early on before we start flying them out, exporting them, putting them back into session, and then we find out that we made a bad edit. And even worse, it goes through many different processes, and then it goes to mixing, and then it goes to mastering, and then all of a sudden you get your finals back and you have bad vocal edits. You do not want that. So we want to avoid that. So I always bring in some kind of bass that I can use just to reference against. So now we're going to go ahead, and now we know our globals. We're going to go up here to this little spot, click on this click track. We're going to put in 111, and then we're going to put in 3, 4. And then we're going to turn off the clicks. I don't want the click to sound while I'm doing this. I don't need it. I'm not recording in here, so we can turn that off. It'll just be annoying. We're going to open back up the folder, and now we're going to import in our tracks. And so we're just going to drag and drop. I'm going to grab my lead vocal first, and we want to make sure that we go to bar 1, because we want to make sure that as we export it and we put it back into the DAW session, that it's going to actually be lined up with all the other tracks and save us some headache. And then I'm just going to drop in my guitar track, and we're going to go from there. So right now we have, when I mentioned earlier, blobs. So I'm going to go over here and we're going to tune this spot. I'm not going to tune the whole song with you because that would be really tedious and redundant, and you don't need to see that. You just need to understand the concepts. So we're looking at the blobs and we have lines. When you first look at this, you're going, oh my goodness, I guess it makes sort of sense. It represents the vocals in some way. It's really easy to get wrapped up in looking at where the blobs are at. So, you'd be looking at it, you'd be grabbing your pitch change tool, and you'd be going, okay, it's time for me to, all right, I want to move this up to an A or whatever, and double click. Oh, that seems easy. It snaps into place. We do not care about the blobs. What we care about is the lines. The blobs just represent amplitude. They really don't affect the pitch. Yes, they will help to visually represent kind of where your pitch lies, but we do not care about that right now. What we care about is the lines. The lines is the vocals. That is the actual vocal cord happening. That is where the pitch is happening. So that is what we want to focus on. And again, we want to focus on only tuning the actual note trying to be sung. Everything else we want to keep untuned. That is the important thing to remember. So these little scoops that you see right here, this does not want to be tuned. This is why we set that one short key to a U, because I might want part of this to stay tuned like this, but then I go ahead and I want to cut this right here. This is still going to be affected by Melodyne. So if I hit U, you'll see that it drops. If I didn't do that, this part is still, even though I cut it off and it dropped and it looks like, okay, this isn't part of the part I'm tuning, it's still being affected and processed by Melodyne, and it's still going to make some kind of adjustment to it, and we don't want that. So that is why we have that U. And again, before I showed you how to do the pitch correct window for Shift Command P, we're going to open that up right now. And it looks like this. We have our correct pitch window, and we have a pitch center, and we have a pitch drift. Pitch center is going to, if you see me go all the way to, let me highlight a section for you, and I will show you what happens when we go to 100%. You will watch the blob snap into place. 100%. That's a hard snap. This is something that I guess in theory seems to make sense. You want your vocals to be in tune. You want it to go along this piano roll, and we're not in G minor. I'm actually going to click on it's in the key of E. And then, so it doesn't really, this is something, it doesn't really matter because I don't really go by this, because this would help if you wanted to do like a full snap of the song and then go from there. I just like to go note by note and do it myself, because Melodyne will make funny choices sometimes, and it sometimes makes errors, and I just find that if I just go by note, then I avoid missing the fact that Melodyne made an error, and I make that error, and then I move forward and I have a bad note. So, but sorry, get back to the pitch correct. You'll see that snaps in, but that's not what we want to do, because this is a very hard tune. And again, we are trying to keep things transparent. We're trying to keep it organic. We want stuff not to be perfect. The art of tuning is to tune it enough to where it sounds like the singer killed it, but at the same time, it doesn't sound like he tuned them. And that's the trick. And it can be hard sometimes. And then the pitch drift, as we move this forward, what it's doing is affecting, as you can see right here, it's affecting the scoops of the note. And we want to control that a little bit to help us with nailing the note, but we don't want to do 100%. So let's just quick listen to the vocal. When you miss the feeling of someone calling you home, calling you home, calling you home. So you can see there's definitely some pitch problems going on here. Miss the feeling of someone calling you home. And let's listen to it with the guitar. When you miss the feeling of someone calling you home, calling you home, calling you home. So you can definitely hear little parts like right here. This is definitely flat, a little flat, you know, just general overall flatness going on. So you can hear it against the guitar part. We'll turn the guitar off for now. If I were to show you the pitch center 100%, pitch drift 100%. When you miss the feeling of someone calling you home, calling you home, calling you home. So that definitely fixed the pitch problem, but we have a new problem, which is that the vocals sound tuned. They sound too stiff. There's no inflection in the voice anymore. It all of a sudden just feels just sterile. There's nothing to it. And this is where I think a lot of people make the mistake where they just kind of hard tune and then maybe cut a few things out here and there. And we need to be have better attention to detail as we're doing this. So now that we've kind of explained a little bit about kind of the blobs, what we're going for, I'm just going to jump in and show you exactly what we're looking at. So again, we're going to go ahead and we're just going to zoom in a little bit. And I'm going to go to my cut tool. So this, anything that doesn't have a line in it, this is going to be a breath. These are consonants, probably like a ch, you know, maybe a p. We want to untune all of that. So we'd actually just want to go ahead and just cut that off. We're going to go through and cut off all the breaths that we do not need right now, because this is something that, this right here, the scoop, we do not want to tune it. I'm going to just go through and do a better edit of all this in a bit, but right now I'm just going to show you how to cut out all the breaths, all the scoops. We do not want any of that in our audio, or we don't want any of that in the tuning. Like, we don't want Melodyne to touch it. So we're going to go ahead, just bear with me here as I cut off all the breaths. And we want to make sure that we hit that U. As you can see, like, this expanded when I hit the U. That's because there are some kind of, even though Melodyne, I haven't done any tuning, Melodyne still does some kind of processing to the audio. And so we want to just make sure we're hitting that untune button to make sure it just stays unprocessed. We do not want to tune breaths. That'll be a weird, it can make a lot of artifacts, and it can just sound really bad. So, all right, so now that we have that taken care of, I want to show you scoops and hitting the notes. So this right here, we're going to cut that off. And again, we're going to hit the U and nothing happens. So this is landing on a B. I know that I'm in the key of E, and I know B is part of that key. So I don't think that I'm going to need to tune this note. It looks pretty much centered. It does dip down. So maybe what I'll do here is kind of just go back to my trim tool and just kind of scoot this over and untune this, because this little thing, I don't think I'm going to need to tune the scoop. This is kind of a more of a, if that makes any sense. So we want to kind of keep that. And then this right here, I can definitely keep this untuned. And then it looks like When you miss the... When you miss... Okay, so we want to take this. I don't really want to flatten this out just to keep the naturalness. So I'm just going to let it be as it is. I'm going to click both of them, hold the Option key with the pitch tool, and I'm just going to kind of nudge it up and see how that works for me. I move this, so I'm going to untune that, make sure that's untuned. And I'm just going to kind of listen to that and to see that the main little note right here is hitting in the B, which is in the key. And so let's take... When you miss the feeling, when you miss... So it's... When you miss the... And this right here definitely needs to be in the C sharp. So we're going to go ahead and make sure that this... And now this goes back into the Shift Command P. We're going back to Shift Command P. I kind of didn't talk much about it. I just said how 100% is a bad thing. What we're going to do is we're going to pitch center it to 90%. So that way it's not necessarily hard tuning. It's allowing some of it to still stay a little flat and then pitch drift to 70%. I just find I was taught this ratio just works pretty well. I found it to be true. And so we're just going to do that. We're going to go ahead and trim off a little bit of the fat here just to kind of allow the front and the back to maintain naturalness. And now we're going to take a listen to it. When you miss the feeling, when you miss the feeling. And you know, it probably sounds still a little interesting. So maybe allow a little bit less in that. When you miss the feeling. All right, we're back. My apologies. I had a little bit of a texting thing and then it made my QuickTime player shut off. So we are going to move back right into it. So we're right now tuning the front part of this. I was just kind of showing how we're kind of folding this back. Let's just go ahead and listen to it again. When you miss the feeling. So I kind of just want to show you, this part right here is it just still sounds a little funny to me. I know that the first part of the note is hitting within the C, so it sounds a little bit flat. So we're just gonna hold the Option key with the pitch correction and just kind of push it up a little bit and see how that works. When you miss the feeling. And now this is where using the U tool is gonna help because I just want to kind of hear what it sounds like naturally. When you miss the feeling. When you miss the feeling. And again, we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to cut that off, untune it, go back to the pitch, just kind of shove it up there a little bit. When you miss the feeling. All right, I like that a lot better. So now we've got this first part moving. Now we're going to move on to this. This is definitely a big problem. It does not sound nice. So we can see right here that this is a main sustain of the note before it goes into the vibrato. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and we're going to cut that. And I'm going to cut right there. And we're just going to tune that with the pitch at 90 and 70. We're going to cut this because I can see, you can tell where the notes are kind of lying as it starts to flatten out. And everything else, like this part, we don't need to really tune. You can see where it flattens right here. And that's pretty much all we're going to need. I'm going to go ahead and assume that that's going to be that this, okay, so I just got this upgrade on Melodyne, and there's something funny when I'm trying to select certain notes that I don't really understand what's going on, so just forget about it. We'll do it individually. So we'll go ahead and do this same thing, 90, 70, 90, 70. I don't know why this isn't staying. It should. It shouldn't make me have to do this every single time. Again, new Melodyne. I guess I'm still figuring it out. So here we go.
You miss the feeling of some.
So this right here, we're going to cut. As you can see, we are just trying to get certain notes into it.
When you miss the feeling.
So it's got that feeling, and you don't want to just tune this up, because then it would sound too unnatural.
When you miss the feeling. When you miss the feeling.
It just sounds super weird. So we want to untune that. We want to untune in that scoop. This right here, I might actually be able to just do an actual tune instead of nudging it up.
When you miss the feeling.
Yeah, so that's nice. And then, so real quick, as I'm doing this, you can see that I'm just looking like all this stuff right here. Like this is untuned, this is untuned, this is untuned, this is untuned, this is nudged, this is nudged, this is untuned, this is tuned up. Let's see what's going on here.
When you miss the feeling. When you miss.
So that's nudged up. This is tuned, this is tuned, this is tuned, this is tuned. So the difference between tuning it and then nudging it, the reason why I'm nudging it is because I don't want this to be all the way up as a B, because there's still that scooping action that's happening. But there's also, I don't want it to be doing majority, because you can see it goes flat, but I don't want it to be a B, because then it'll just sound, like again, it'll sound stiff. It'll just go up to the B way too quick. And the way that slides into that B, if it's down here, there's too much of the A sharp in it that's not in key, and it sounds bad. So you want to just kind of like split the difference and help the vocal out by pushing it up enough to where it won't create an artifact, but it still slides into the note in a way
when you miss the
that doesn't sound weird or out of tune.
When you miss.
As you can hear it. And so that's why I'm nudging some things, and that's why I'm hard tuning. The main notes we want to hard tune in, again, with the 90-70, and everything else, we just kind of want to just nudge it up and just kind of help the vocal just sit right and feel right. So as we move forward,
of someone called.
So again, the start of this is down in this F. You know, it might, F's not in the key. F sharp would be right.
Of someone called.
But you know what? It doesn't really bother me. And so I'm going to keep it as it is. So this right here is not tuned. This is not tuned. This is not tuned. I tune this note right here. And then this note has definitely got to go down. So we'll see what happens if we do the 90-20 rule with it. 90-70 rule, I'm sorry. And we'll see. It didn't snap. So if you just double click it, it goes 100%. We don't want that. So this is why I keep using this tool, and this is why I had you set up the short key. So here we go.
Of someone called.
So that works for me. We're going to do this, but we're also going to go ahead and just trim off a little bit of the fat on this and see what happens.
Of someone called.
And again, this D, we're going to cut off the end there. We're going to go ahead and snap this into place. And it looks like, see, this is where Melodyne likes to not do the right thing. As it decided it wanted to go up to that D sharp.
Of someone called.
And if we go ahead and place this in here.
Of someone calling.
Oh, it's right. Just kidding. Haha. So I forgot. It's an E major, so D sharp's the 7th. Just kidding. Don't listen to me. So you'll definitely learn a little bit about theory when you tune vocals. So as we move on.
Someone call.
And this is why it's important to have a guitar track behind it, because I would have just, for some reason in my brain right there, I was thinking D was in the key of E major, which is not right. And I should have known better because it's right here, and the half step down is the 7th, is D sharp. But I would have tuned it to a D, and I probably would have been like, okay, that's good. And then if I would have just, my ears would have got used to it, and if I would have placed it against the guitar, then it would have sounded bad. I would have known right away, just right there, I knew it fit. And so these are things this is why it's good to have a reference track. And now this is going to be
someone calling you.
So we want to push this up. And so now we're going to see, it's going to say, oh, it's nice. Oh, that's right, because I put it in the key of E, so it knows. All right, so now we're going up. We're tuning that. We're going to untune this, untune that, cut this. So this note right here looks like it's going to be up enough into D sharp to not be a problem.
Of someone calling you home. Of someone calling.
So this right here is kind of bothering me because it goes down a little too much. So we're actually going to cut this in the middle. And we're going to highlight both. And then we're going to go ahead and do the pitch correction again real fast. So as I'm doing this, you can see how all this makes a difference.
Of someone calling you home.
I am not going to go any further into this now because I understand that you should understand what I'm doing right now. So as a reference, we have tuned this much right here. And I'm going to show right now. We're going to go ahead with the guitar, and you're going to hear the difference.
When you miss the feeling of someone calling you home.
And now untuned.
When you miss the feeling of someone calling.
And again, back to where it was.
When you miss the feeling of someone calling.
You can see that it's subtle, but the vocals just click into the guitar more. It just feels like it's in tune. You don't have this weird, dissonant like chord thing happening between like having the guitar that's in tune and having a vocal that's slightly flat, and it just creates that just unpleasantness. It just locks it in, and it just feels tighter to me. And so now that's really how you use Melodyne to tune a vocal. You are going to see, obviously I could go through all this and show you, and there's always going to be challenges with it, and every voice looks different on here. Some people have crazy vibrato. Some people don't have any vibrato at all. And so you're going to really start to see inside the voice when you start using Melodyne, and you're going to have to use your ears, and there's a lot of trial and error. You're going to learn certain vocalists and the way they do things. Quick note, if there's a lot of vibrato, the best thing to do is to try to center it. Sometimes if you lock in a voice that has a lot of vibrato, maybe if I can create vibrato here real fast with the formant tool. That's not the way you do it. Pitch modulation, is this it? Yeah, so say, here we go. You have a lot of vibrato and you hard snap something in, it might actually sound flat or sound sharp. So the best way to do it is to, again, go to the pitch tool, use the option key, and get it to center itself around the note that you're trying to actually hit. Do not look at the blob. Do not edit with the blob. You need to edit looking at the lines. This is why when I was looking at this one over here, where was it, where I split it, I saw that the lines were not, it started way down here. It started way down here, and I wanted to smooth it out up here. It's like this right here, I could probably even go ahead and cut that just to try to get the center line to be more in the G sharp instead of drifting down into the G. So again, this is something that I hope is making sense for you. If it's not, please leave me a comment. If you need me to expand on something, please leave me a comment. It's kind of hard sometimes with tuning because all voices are different. But really, what I'm trying to show you here is not really how to tune this song well. It's just the general practice of how to tune a vocal transparently. And I hope that you got that when you heard it against the guitar track. So again, remember, it's not about tuning everything. In fact, most of the stuff in here is going to be not touched tune-wise. And it's really focusing in on this line. Do not focus on the blobs. If it's this actual note, use Shift-Command-P. Do not just double tap it to try and get it to be clicked in. because that's just going to do 100% hard tune on it. We don't want to do that. We want to do it transparently. And if it's a scoop note that you don't want to lock into the actual note with the pitch correction, then you need to use the option when you have this tool up here, the pitch tool, and then kind of just nudge it around till it sounds right, and use your ears. All right, this is a long video. I really hope you got something out of it. Please like it if you got some kind of nugget. Please subscribe. I'm going to be doing more videos like this to really demystify the recording process, especially for you songwriters out there. I care about the songwriter. I care about the person who just bought their DAW and they're trying to record their own music so they can release it. I want to cut down the frustration for you. That was me. It still is me. And this is, I think Melodyne is a great, great tool to use if you're trying to release your own songs. It'll help get rid of the self-conscious, I'm too pitchy thing going on in your head, and just get those songs released out into the world. Again, my name is Brad Johnson. Leave me a comment. Continue the conversation. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to expand upon in a future video, and I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.